Good evening again. Chris is off tonight. Ahead in this hour, a drop in COVID cases, and the question to raise is, what will the upcoming second holiday season of this pandemic look like? First, though, new CNN reporting ahead of tomorrow's Senate testimony by Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen. She revealed herself in a report airing last night on CBS's 60 Minutes as the former employee who sent thousands of pages of internal company documents to the Wall Street Journal, federal regulators, and lawmakers, one of whom, Senator Amy Klobuchar, joins us in a moment. Frances Haugen has already told 60 Minutes that Facebook's own research shows that it amplifies hate, misinformation, and political unrest, but the company hides what it knows. She's described the financial incentives for not changing its algorithm, which prioritizes extreme content because that gets more clicks and more eyeballs and for longer. Haugen also talked about how Facebook's Instagram can harm teenagers, an allegation staffers for Senator Richard Blumenthal explored on by logging on. CNN's Stoney O'Sullivan reports.
What we did was to create a 13-year-old who expressed interest in weight loss and dieting, and within a day she was flooded with recommendations for accounts concerning eating disorders and personal injury.
Senator Blumenthal's staff wanted to see what it was like to be a teenager struggling with an eating disorder on Instagram. They set up an account registered as belonging to a 13-year-old girl. The result? Instagram's algorithm suggested that they follow pages that promote eating disorders with names like I have to be thin, eternally starved, and skin and bone.
And what's super tragic is Facebook's own research says, as these young women begin to consume this eating disorder content, they get more and more depressed, and it actually makes them use the app more. And so they end up in this feedback cycle where they hate their bodies more and more. Facebook's own research says it is not just that Instagram is dangerous for teenagers, that it harms teenagers. It's that it is distinctly worse than other forms of social media.
That's whistleblower Frances Haugen, who leaked thousands of documents from Facebook, including the company's own research, like this, a presentation about the dangers of Instagram for teenagers. We make body issues worse for 1 in 3 girls, reads one slide. Teens who struggle with mental health say Instagram make it worse, reads another. Instagram said eternally starved, I have to be thin, skin and bone. The accounts it had promoted through its algorithm broke the company's rules encouraging eating disorders, but they only removed the accounts after being contacted by CNN.
This experience shows very graphically how these claims to protect children or take down accounts that may be dangerous to them are absolute hogwash. In fact, it was not taken down until CNN brought it to their attention.
A spokesperson for Instagram's parent company, Facebook, said it uses technology and reports from users to remove content that violates its rules on eating disorders as quickly as it can, adding they are always working to improve.
With eating disorders and social media, we do know that there is this social comparison component. And so the more time people spend on social media and they're looking at accounts that may be inspiration, or there's a term that's called finspiration or fitspiration, we know that that can definitely increase social comparison and therefore result in negative body image, negative mental health.
And for people who might be struggling with some of the issues in that report, you can contact the National Eating Disorder Association's helpline on 1-800-931-2237. But Anderson, I just want to underline just how disturbing what you saw there was. I mean, that was essentially an account belonging to a 13-year-old child that Instagram was pushing pages that were glorifying eating disorders to.
Frances Haugen's going to testify in front of the Senate tomorrow. Do we know what she's expected to say?
Yeah, she's really going to lay it into Facebook tomorrow. Here's some of her testimony, her opening statement that was released earlier. Facebook wants you to believe in false choices, she says. They want you to believe you must choose between connecting with those you love online and your personal privacy. That in order to share fun photos of your kids with all friends, you must be inundated with misinformation. They want you to believe that this is just part of the deal. Look, a lot of this is what analysts and critics of Facebook have been saying for a long time, but this is hitting a lot different, Anderson. Frances just left Facebook in May, and she has Facebook's own internal documents, research that shows the harms that Facebook does cause to back her up.
Joni Sullivan, appreciate it. Thanks. Senator Amy Klobuchar joins us now. She's a member of the Senate subcommittee hearing for Frances Haugen tomorrow. So, Senator, good to see you. in our last hour, I spoke with the attorney for Haugen, who said that there are actually very simple changes that Facebook could make to its algorithms that would have marginal impacts on actual growth at the platform, on the money they make, but would have huge impacts on the spread of misinformation, conspiracy theories, violence, inciting content, hate speech. He says they've been unwilling to take the steps. I'm wondering what you hope to accomplish tomorrow.
Agree. They have been unwilling to take those steps. And I want to say something about eating disorders. I led the last major bill with Senator Capito and Senator Baldwin that passed on this, which allowed for more treatment options for people with eating disorders. This isn't just some study they did. It is the number one mortality rate eating disorders are for women who have mental illness. The number one mental illness disorder is eating disorders when it comes to mortality rate. So this is really serious stuff to be messing around with. We talk about vaccine misinformation. We know what that has done. And now we find out that they've been peddling this. So number one, make these algorithms more transparent. Number two, if you're not going to do this kind of stuff, I've said this very clearly, I think you got to start looking at taking away their immunity for certain things that they do. And that is one answer. The second answer is privacy laws. I look around this place, I'm in the Capitol right now, and I think we have had this humongous change in our economy, some good, some bad, when it comes to technology. Yet we haven't made any changes in any big way to federal privacy laws. We also have made no changes to our competition policies. And one of the reasons this is happening is Facebook has been able to buy up everything in sight, including WhatsApp and Instagram. So we will never know, Anderson, what bells and whistles they could have developed to protect kids or have more privacy or stop misinformation, because in the words of Mark Zuckerberg, he would rather buy than compete.
I mean, it is interesting, with something like Instagram, a lot of it is designed to keep your attention as long as possible on Instagram. They call it the gamification. It's why there's, likes and little, fun things to do, and it keeps you occupied, keeps you flipping around. I mean, this is all online. That's what, it's all about, clicks and getting clicks on sites.
Completely.
Do you want to see Facebook head Mark Zuckerberg come before Congress on this?
Of course I do. They have come before, and we can keep having these hearings. It's good. This one especially has focused the attention. But I want to get things done. I want to get the privacy legislation done. We know recently Apple said to its users, okay, you don't have to opt into this collection of data. 75% of the people didn't want their data collected. They chose not to. We need to make these improvements, the federal law of the land, so that people are protecting their own data and their privacy. Secondly, when it comes to tech and other consolidation, I lead this effort. I lead the antitrust efforts in the Senate. It's bipartisan, and we have to do something about the fact that the mergers, the fact that they are able to self-preference, we call it, their own stuff that they buy so that it hurts other competitors. The fact that our enforcers don't have enough resources. These agencies are shadows of their former selves, even from during the times of Ronald Reagan when AT&T was broken up. And so a lot of this is happening right now, slowly but surely. But honestly, it's like a game of whack-a-mole, or maybe whack-a-behemoth. Every corner I go around this Capitol, there's some new lobbyist. There's some senator saying, well, this lobbyist told me this lobbyist. At some point, we have to get this done. So as much as I want these hearings, and yeah, we can yell at tech executives, it is time to pass the legislation so that we protect the safety of our kids and competition for our country. That is what capitalism is about.
You talk about data. It is so incredible. I mean, I never really used to pay much attention to, the cookies thing that would pop up and be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. The amount of data that we have, as individuals, have given up to these companies who are then profiting from it and selling it. And I mean, these companies actually know more about us than we do. I mean, they remember everything that we have ever done.
Do you know how much Facebook makes off of you, Anderson Cooper, in the first quarter of this year?
How much?
$51 on your data, on every user. It's $51 in America. And this profit plan works a lot better when you hook these kids young, right? So one of the things that we are now learning is how much money they're making off of our data. Everyone's had this experience where you say something or you email something and suddenly ads start popping up.
But I mean, they also know everything about you. They know everything about judges and everybody out there. I mean, all around the world. It's really extraordinary when you start to realize the actual power. I mean, data is power.
Data is power, and also there's one other thing about this. When you have all the data, then it's hard for other companies to compete with you. So years and years of gathering the data have made them even more powerful. So that's why the answer is, of course, privacy legislation. And we can do this. You just have to have the will, and people have to contact their representatives so they support it. And the second thing is to upgrade our competition policy like other countries have done around the world, so that we are in a better place to be in the driver's seat with our own data.
The thing about data, though, is interesting because, much of it does benefit us. Like, I get better ads, or I get better services, or they know me and they recommend something.
You could choose to opt in.
Right,
You
yeah,
can choose
of
to
course.
do that.
Yeah. Senator Amy Klobuchar, really important. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank